We are ending 2020 with an episode of Demetris and a splash of Fanta. Happy holidays, everybody. Happy early New Year. Boy, do we need a new year. That's for sure. And here's to hoping it brings a big dance in college basketball with it. John Fanta here with you, the former Syracuse star Demetris Nichols. Today on the show, we will talk about a variety of things, including Houston being ranked 5th in the country, plus the Big Ten's depth. And we'll even talk a little bit of New Year's resolutions as well. Demetris, what's happening, my man?
Everything is great. Like I said off the air, the kids are happy. They got nice presents. The wife is happy. Now we're going to go into the new year. Let's do it, man. Everything is good, man. How was your Christmas?
Santa was good to the Nichols. Santa was good to the Fantas.
Yes. I love it around this time. You know, right now, that's why I have my sweater on, because you look out the window, it's snowing up to here today. So just getting used to this Syracuse nice weather.
Hey, if you know a weatherman, I know a guy. That's all I can say. I'm happy to go in the eye of the storm, do one of those live hits. I'm all in on that. Let's turn to some college basketball storylines here. Gonzaga is clearly head and shoulders above everybody else in the country. It's not dependent on any one player. Mark Few has depth. He's got size. He's got a future NBA sharpshooter in Corey Kispert. He's got Drew Timme inside. Jalen Suggs is going to be one of the top picks in the NBA draft. We know that, Demetris. We know how impressed we've been with Gonzaga. But this pod's all about taking a further dive. I am not going to sit here and declare that the season is Gonzaga's to lose, or they're on a pathway all the way to the national title game. Seasons evolve. They change in time. I'm not going to give a hot take in December saying that it's over. I hate that idea. After Gonzaga, who do you like next the most?
Well, before I give you what I like, respect on Gonzaga. Gonzaga's playing really, really well. They run fast. They play hard. They rebound really, really well. The only question mark I have for them is, can they protect the paint? They only average about 2 or 3, maybe 2 blocks per game. Do they have enough defensively? And so far they have, with their team defense and, guys helping others. So far it's pretty good. But my team that I see that is continuing to get better is Kansas. I think they would have been number 1 in the country if they didn't lose to Gonzaga the first week of college basketball. But this is a team that can possibly win it this year, and they could have possibly won it last year. I think they have a balanced breakfast over there. They have Ochai Agbaji, who's stepping up this year, who's leading the team in scoring and in 3-point percentage. Jalen Wilson is he's their Mr. Consistency. He scores and he rebounds. And Mr. All Defense and Marcus Garrett, and that's the leader. He just doesn't set guys up, but he'll take the ball from you if you put it in front of him.
This is where we really need to see Baylor and Gonzaga play. Please, Mark Few. Please, Scott Drew. Find a way to make this happen, because we did see Gonzaga, Kansas, and I agree with you. Even early on this season, like Bill Self always does, his teams evolve. They've evolved defensively. Christian Braun, Big 12 honors for him this week, and rightly so. They found some versatility. People were wondering how they were going to score the ball in Lawrence this year. That's not going to be an issue for Kansas. Yeah. Look, Baylor deserves that title for now. They have not lost. In my mind, they defend as well as anybody in college basketball. You have an All-American in Jared Butler. You have Masio T. You have Jonathan Shamwa-Thachua, who is a legit big man inside that has taken over that role that was left by Gillespie, who was so good in that role for them last year. So I think about Baylor, and I still think that they're the second best team in America. They have a completeness about them. And if you think about it, you have to look at who some of their guys are that are coming off the bench. And that's one thing that I look at with Baylor is they've definitely groomed a bench. You know, LJ Cryer's coming off a 4 3-pointer performance. And that's big for Baylor to find that extra score. And Matthew Mayer, also another guy that can contribute for them. So for the Bears, when you think about the fact that they have an All-American, they're so great defensively. Maceo Teague is someone who makes so many things come together for them, and they found some depth. I will go with Baylor, and I think that it's too early to sit here and say in a season that's a long and winding road that it's just those two teams. I think that Villanova can still grow. Yeah. Jeremiah Robinson-Earl's a really, really good player who's taken a huge leap, and that's not getting accounted for enough. And they have a point guard in Colin Gillespie. Villanova's shown us, too, that when they have the pieces in March, they've showed us recently that they know how to go on a run. They know how to play a game their way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I definitely agree with Villanova can possibly be number 2 or 3. They're right up there. But, this starting – I think the top 5 is pretty not going to change. I think Texas can be that top 5 team also, I think, by the end of the week. But Kansas, they're not the same team they played. They're not the same team the first week of the season.
No, but now Texas plays Kansas this week.
Right. But if Kansas would have played Gonzaga around this time, I think we'll have different results right now because, like I mentioned,
Really?
I really think that Kansas is really going to take that step. They're going to continue to get better. Like I said, they could have won it last year, and they're shooting 40.
But last year they had Dotson and Azubuike. It was a different team.
I get that, but they're shooting 40% from the three-point line, and they defend, and they play together, and they're young. So they have a nice system. They got to have like that rotating door where guys come in, guys leave. Guys, like you said, a Christian Broom who's going to step up, the sophomore that can shoot the 3-ball. And Bryce Thompson hasn't even showed who he is because he's playing behind other people. This team is always going to be solid and is always going to be in that conversation of one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, and I do think that top 5 is somewhat solid. I think that Houston could get bounced from it. We'll see. We're going to get to the Cougars here in a few moments. But, yeah, look, you can't sit here and say, like someone tweet, first and foremost, okay, I am Twitter had me all over the place over the weekend because people were surprised. People were surprised that Gonzaga was beating Virginia by as much as they were. Newsflash, this team is the best in America. Virginia is far from that right now. Virginia was on a pause. They've gone through some difficult times. They're nowhere near where they could be, but they weren't going to beat Gonzaga. That wasn't surprising at all. And do not put a damn asterisk next to the Bulldogs if they win the national championship. Gonzaga has beaten Iowa, West Virginia, and Kansas. Don't tell me that don't tell me there's an asterisk.
But is it fair that they had postponed 5, 6, 7 games so far? So now certain teams are not playing the same amount of games. Like the timing is off. I mean, I agree. Gonzaga is really, really good. They're like that guy on the hill where nobody talks about. They don't get TV time. They have a couple of good guys on that team, but they don't get the respect that they deserve. And I think they play with that chip on their shoulder because they know that they're number 1 in the country, and they're not getting the respect that they deserve because of the way the system is, with the COVID, them being on the West Coast, the time difference. But whenever they come from down that hill, they are ready to play, and they're ready to compete and show the world that they're the best team in the country. And they do that, seem like every single week. They've been on top for the past 7 weeks. They've been on top. So it's great to see.
They've been on top, and they're doing it against elite opponents too. So it would be one thing if they were just coasting past team after team and we really didn't know. But they're showing it against the elite. They can't control what that team goes through. Gonzaga's gone through COVID-19 themselves. And so I think in this year, like we've seen in other sports, if anything, there's no asterisk. If anything, there's more praise for navigating through these times. Of course, there's a luck factor to it with COVID-19. There's no rhyme or reason to a team when they could get it. but Gonzaga is the best team in college basketball.
Yeah.
Sometimes in March, though, you know this,
Yeah.
the best team does not always win the national championship.
Money time. Anything can happen.
Money time.
You can get injured. Guys can have bad shooting nights. You may have an off night playing defense. Guys may get in foul trouble. So, and that's the beauty about this game that we love and that we love to talk about, because you never know. As much as we talk trash here on this podcast, we never really know who is really going to win a championship and who's really dominant. But so far, this Gonzaga team has basically showed the rest of the country we're here and we're here to stay.
Is Houston here to stay? Let's go to the Cougars. Out of the American. What a story. Kelvin Sampson has put together there. Now, Kelvin Sampson has always been able to coach. I mean, he has always been able to groom his teams. And he has gone down to Houston. They've gotten better and better and better, and now they're 5th in the country. Year in, year out, I've seen them evolve. Quinn Grimes is a stud, and I'm going to tell you why they're number 5 in the country in a moment, but I want to get your thoughts, Dee. What do you see in this Cougars team? Do you think that it is real?
Well, first, before I give you that answer, I just want to give respect to Kelvin Sampson. Underrated. Very underrated. It's been underrated. Knows how to coach. Respect to his recruiting class. Guys play hard. Guys defend. But what stands out for me is that, you said it, they're a top 5 team. Are they good enough to be a top 5 team? They've only kind of been tested versus Texas Tech. My other standout is they play in the American Conference. The conference is not as good as other conferences. I mean, let's be honest. It's not that good. But Houston has dominated that conference and basically let them know that we're the big guys in this conference. But their style of play, for me, is very, very key to their success. They have 3 guys. And you mentioned a couple of them. Quentin Grimes, Saucer, Tremont Marks, what's his name? Giroux. All those guys do something unique. They're one-on-one basketball players. They can break you down in the half court, and they can make plays. But they get to the free throw line. 2 of those guys, Marks and Grimes, have gone to the free throw line at least 30 times, at least 35 times in this past 7 weeks. They do a great job of forcing the referee to make a call, and everyone plays. They play 10 guys, and everyone contributes, and you can tell that these guys are having fun. And when you play 10 guys on a top 5 team, you can see that there's no tension in the locker room, there's no tension in practice, there's no tension on the bench, because everybody knows that they're a piece of the puzzle, and the name on front of the jersey is more important than the name on the back, and that's how they play.
That is how they play. They rebound the basketball so well. Their rebounding margin right now sits at plus 13, but they have 4 players who are averaging 6 rebounds or more per game.
That's impressive.
Justin Gorham leads the way. That's a team to me that has a physicality and unselfishness about them. They get on the glass. They get on the glass. It's not like they're a team that's shooting the lights out from 3. They actually only shoot 32.5% from three-point land. You know, not a great team from distance, but they get it done inside. They shoot over 46% from the field, and they defend the hell out of you. I mean, they really are a team that defends the hell out of you. The question becomes, like, the American is a league. Greg Marshall, Wichita State, tough situation. You know, that's a program that's gone the other way. Yeah. UConn left the league, goes to the Big East. Cincinnati, kind of a down year for the Bearcats. Memphis, we don't know. So the American, as a result, is not in the same place even than what it was the past couple of years. So how do you accurately measure them throughout conference play? But again, I can't get too much on a team, especially in a year like this one. It's all about playing games. They went and they beat Texas Tech, a Texas Tech team that we called in the preseason a potential dark horse for the Final Four. We talked about Texas Tech and how good they could be. I know they're far from perhaps that right now, but the point stands. Houston has scheduled some teams. They've beaten those teams in somewhat commanding fashion. Grimes is a star. They defend and rebound. Yeah, this checks out. I'm knocking on the wood in my apartment. This checks out to me.
They take pride in their defense. They that's one thing that Coach Sampson guys must know when getting recruited at Houston. You're going to play defense and you're going to play the right way. They know when to help and when not to help. And they have 5 guys that average at least 1 steal per game. So that means guys are doing their work early, getting to the deflection lanes, getting steals, turning their defense into offense. But going back to your question, like how do we know, how do we judge them? I think the closest judgment right now is the next game that they have against SMU, who is 5-0, who's doing really, really well, who is led by Kendrick Davis, who's averaging 20 points.
This weekend, yeah, that'll be a big game.
So that would be a good test for this Houston team. I think Texas is going to take that spot, being top 5 in the country eventually. But as of right now, respect to Calvin Camp. There's no excuse that they play in the American Conference. They're doing what they have to do. They're beating teams convincingly. Well, not convincingly, but they're beating the team. They're doing their job, and they're playing their style of play that obviously no one hasn't cracked that code yet. So we'll see against SMU, can they still continue to climb the ranks and be really, really good?
I'm always for the interesting team in the sport that rises up that might be having a season that they otherwise wouldn't have other years. And Houston's actually, their trajectory's been in this place, but to be 5th in the country, first time for the program since 1984. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, congrats to the Cougars. And if you're down in Houston, I know you've had some football to cheer on, but man, you got a basketball program, and it just says fun to me. They play a fun style. Grimes is a stud, and I'm interested to see them. Like, they're playing Tulsa as we record this podcast Tuesday night. I'm going to sit and I'm going to be watching Houston play Tulsa to really see what this Houston team is, get a deeper look at them. Should be a lot of fun. Good for that. Very interesting story.
One defense, and they force you to make one-on-one plays to see if you can get around them. And they have great shot blockers, and they do a good job defensively as a team helping each other. Like I said, everyone plays for the next man besides them. That's what you see when you watch a Houston game. So I'm looking forward to see how they play against SMU.
All right, here we go. I'm going to list them right now because they all are part of this.
Yes.
And you have to listen to each name to understand, like, just the magnitude of what we're watching here. Wisconsin, Iowa, Rutgers, Illinois, Michigan, Michigan State. In this poll, at one point, you quite literally have Rutgers 14, Illinois 15, Michigan 16, Michigan State 17. That won't stick, but the point stands. Northwestern, Minnesota, Ohio State. That's 9. 9 Big Ten teams.
9 Big Ten teams in the best conference, though. This is
in the top 25.
Today, this is the best conference, and it's fun to watch, man. It's fun to watch not old school basketball, but you have juniors and seniors who know how to play the game. There's nothing like watching guys, young men, who know how to play the game, to turn down a good shot to get a great shot, who takes pride in their defense defensively. And that's why the teams who are successful, the conferences who are successful, have those type of guys, the juniors and seniors who stay in school the right way, get their education, stay 3 years, stay 4 years, and continue to blossom so they could take their game to the next level, and they're ready physically, mentally, and psychologically. I love it. I love the Big Ten.
What says to me here, what it says to me, for a 14-team league to have 9 teams ranked, this is old Big East like when the conference nearly a decade ago, had double-digit teams going into the NCAA tournament. This is going to be a 10-bid type of league, if not an 11th team in the NCAA tournament. I mean, you think about it, they're going to make up, what, 20% of the field is going to be made up of Big Ten teams. That's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But what I'm learning now, I think what we're all learning about this league is that everybody thought going into the season that it would be Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois at the top, and then you go from there. You go from there. What we're learning right now is, though, that the bottom of the league, if there is a bottom of this league, and the middle of the league is closer to the top than it is the bottom. And this league, it's filled with parity. Just look what happened Monday night. Minnesota routs Michigan State. Richard Pitino's team is hot. Northwestern is hot. Maryland, who needed a win in the greatest way, just got the best win of anybody. They went to Wisconsin and beat Wisconsin. A Terps team that's in a rebuilding year just beat Wisconsin. That, to me, says your league is so complete that you literally, we always, no off night is cliche. There is none. In this league, it is the best league in America. It's even better than I thought it would be.
And it's great coaches. You have older coaches, you have young coaches. And you asked me earlier, who am I high on of this conference? Which team am I really? I would say Minnesota and Richard Pitino. They just beat up. No, they didn't just beat Michigan State. They beat Michigan State up by 20. They beat Iowa on Christmas. They should be ranked higher than 21. I think they will if they get this win against Wisconsin, which is going to be ready to play because they lost this week. But I love to watch this team play. They run fast. They have great sets. They force their players. They put their players into position to be successful. If you look at Robbins, 7-footer, he can shoot the pick and pop, and he's quick off his feet. He's almost averaging 3 blocks per game. Brandon Johnson shoots 48% from the three-point line, and Marcus Carr. This guy is not even on the draft board. None of these guys I mentioned are on the draft board. This guy is a true leader. He leads his team the right way. He knows how and when to take over the games. Can he lead this team to 3 straight victories? If he can lead this team to 3 straight victories, this Minnesota team should be top 10. They are a balanced breakfast over there, and they give you everything. He gives you everything that they need. Step back threes, transition threes. He has crafty handle. He makes the right read in the half court, passing to the corner or the pick and pop with the big, and he doesn't turn the ball over. This kid, Marcus Carr, he's a problem, man. He is a problem, and a lot of people are sleeping on him. But I don't think that they're going to sleep for that long because he is shining.
No, and, we talk about certain teams and why they're ranked. Like, should Duke be ranked right now? I don't think so. We were talking off there. You don't think so? Minnesota's 9-1. If they had any other team name, if they had a bigger brand, like it's a Big Ten team, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they're 9-1 and they just cracked the poll and they're 21st. They put the rest of the country on notice on the way they beat Michigan State. I do think that Michigan State's loss to Minnesota and Wisconsin's loss to Maryland is a reflection of those two teams. They played on Christmas Day. What does it take to play Michigan State and Wisconsin? The attention to detail in that game in East Lansing was so off the charts. It was such a highly contested game. Having played at Syracuse in the Big East, there were times when you came off a game against a Georgetown and you had to come off and play somebody else a couple days later. You're still trying to get over the previous game. Am I right? Like that's the short memory. That's the turnaround of conference play. Sometimes you're not going to be at total form.
No, and good teams find a way. So good have a plan B and a plan C. They usually don't get the plan C, but good teams have a plan B. And I think Minnesota took away Michigan State's plan A and plan B. They were beating this Michigan State team by 20 points at one point. It was
they won by 25.
Yeah, it was like, but it just shows you how disciplined these guys play, and these guys are playing like they can run through the wall for Coach Pitino. And I love to see this young team who were behind the closed door, and now they're knocking at the door and saying, "Hey, we're pretty good too in this league, and we are nothing to play with. So I love it. I love to see this team really, really blossom.
Yeah, this is a team that could be a Sweet 16, Elite Eight caliber team. I mean, I really do think Minnesota's that good. Liam Robbins is a great rebounder. Had a very good performance against Michigan State. And when you have a star,
He has a little bit of everything. He can post you, he pick and pop, everything.
yep. Now, I got to ask, what's wrong with Michigan State? Looking at this game, I think that this is just a byproduct. When you lose somebody that did as much as Cassius Winston did, you are not going to, after a COVID-19 offseason and after all that's happened, it's not an excuse. It's an explanation of what things are and who they are. Michigan State lost the glue, the leader, the superstar of their program in Cassius Winston. He was their everything. Rocket Watts showed us at Duke that he can be that guy in the win at Duke. We're learning more and more about Duke, and we need to learn more because they haven't played as many games. That's for a different conversation. But Rocket Watts in this game goes 1 for 9. Joshua Langford in this game against Minnesota goes 2 for 10. They shot 25% as a team. Clearly, the Spartans' offense is in a very strange state. They are so reliant on getting stops that it becomes who they are a little bit too often. And I think as a result, they can suffer at times. Their half-court offense right now is in a jagged place. Will Tom Izzo figure it out? I absolutely think so, Demetris. But the Spartans are learning what life is like without Cassius Winston.
Yeah, and I agree with you. He has, he was their everything. He was their leader, their passer, their scorer. But this team is still ranked. They were top 5 at one point. I mean, they deserved to be top 5 at that point where they were top 5. But you talk about defense. We know that Michigan State is a great defensive team. That's what that's their calling card. But let me tell you one thing about defense. When you play defense the way they play defense, press defense, getting in your face, making the opposite team work, the first thing that goes is your legs. Your legs go. And when your legs go, your shots don't fall. And that's why they was able to get in that hole. In Minnesota, forced them to take tough shots where they don't have no legs. So when you play defense at that high of a level and don't have a guard like Cassius Winston to carry you, it's going to be always challenging. So now they're climbing up an uphill battle. Even though they're still top 25, you never know how this team is going to react because now other teams are understanding what their weakness is. And that's what happens when you get around this conference play is like, teams scout you. So now you're not the 6th guy or the 7th guy on the bench. You're the number 1 or 2 option. Where's your plan B? And that's what Michigan State has to work on is their plan B. What is your second option? We know that you can play defense, lockdown defense, but can you get consistent opportunities on the offensive end? That's going to be their challenge this year.
It's that time for Nickel Dimers now, where we go throughout college basketball with some of our favorite things of the past week. Instead of a player of the week, I understand Demetris has a coach of the week. Who are we spotlighting?
Yes, we are spotlighting the gentleman we just talked about a little bit earlier in the show, Richard Pitino. This guy, this coach, this man is building a culture in Minnesota. He's changing the minds. He's changing the culture of the program. If I was a high school player, I would highly consider love to play for a coach that lets you play, but you learn how to play the right way. He has an eye for talent. That's what I know. He was actually my assistant coach my senior year in high school, coaching under John O'Shea and Mike Hart. So to see him flourish from a high school coach to now and what he's doing and what he's doing with the pieces that he has a bunch of transfer players, transforming them into average players to good players.
Yeah.
He has this gift of coaching. It's easy for him. He comes from a great pedigree. He does things the right way. He's fair. And when you play for a coach like Coach P, you have to earn it. And when you earn things, you see guys play a lot harder. And these guys are ready to run through the wall for their coach. And everyone gets a chance to play. What he's doing with Leon Robbins, Brandon Johnson, and Marcus Carr, it's impressive. Because like I said, these guys left their schools a couple of years ago because they wanted to flourish and blossom. And Richard Pitino is letting these guys play the right way, but they're winning. You know, Marcus Carr is, I think he's one of the best point guards in the country. If they can win this week, man, you know, they can be top 10. I personally think they should be top 10 if they win this week against Wisconsin. So that's my coach standout of the week. He's doing, like I said, he's doing a great job. He's one of my old coaches, so I wish him nothing but the best. And I expect him to continue to recruit well and get better and better and try to dominate the league up there with the Iowas and the Michigan States. But so far, he's doing a great job.
I'm going to give you my team of the week, and I'm going to go to the Missouri Valley Conference.
Oh, okay.
11-0. Drake.
Oh.
First team in the country. They're still perfect. 2 games away from, you know, that eligibility threshold to be eligible for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the Valley's always fun, and Drake is at the top of it. Darian DeVries is their head coach, and he's a Greg McDermott former assistant at Creighton, so he knows how to design an offense. And we know what McDermott's been able to do at Creighton. It's carried into DeVries, and what he's been able to do at Drake is special. They've got a couple of guys that just can flat out play. Roman Penn coming off a strong 20-plus point performance. I look at a player like Shanquan Hemphill, who was an MVC newcomer of the week now a couple weeks ago. They got a Seton Hall transfer named Darnell Brody, high major frame, just didn't work out at Seton Hall, transfers to Drake. Now at a mid-major, he's able to contribute more. It's just more of his speed. It's more of his pace of play. That's what you have to do at a school like Drake. They're bringing in guys that are capable, or that maybe once were capable or good enough to be a high major type talent. Can they get them in that setting? Can they win in that setting? They're 11-0, still perfect. I'm interested to see, not this weekend, the following weekend, they're going to face Loyola Chicago. And the way the Valley's doing it, you play these teams back-to-back is how they're doing their schedule this year. So you get done with one, and then you play them the next day. So they're going to play Loyola Sunday, January 10th, then Monday, January the 11th. Both games are on national TV. Good for Drake. Special story. Only 11-0 team in America. How about Darian DeVries?
Yeah.
And the job that he's been able to do. Congrats, Coach DeVries. That's my team of the week. A little bit different here. Drake is 11-0.
Yeah, I mean, now, do they deserve to be top 25 team being 11-0 in college basketball? You know, even though they play in that conference, it's still 11-0. Can they keep it going? Can they go into February, March, and really, really turn it on? Well, not even February, March, January. Can they have this same streak going into January? So I respect to Drake, and hopefully they get into that top 25. We'll see.
Interesting. Game of the week. There are a couple to choose from. Kansas is going to play Texas. Let's see what else is happening. Yeah, Florida State versus Duke. But I understand you have another game that you're looking for, perhaps a bold prediction?
Iowa versus Rutgers in the RAC. Can Luka Garza and Iowa bounce back from their loss from Minnesota? They're going to be very, very hungry. Can they bounce back and get a win on the road playing against a team like Rutgers who pushes the ball? They play fast. So Rutgers reminds me of that Big East team, but they're just now in the Big Ten Conference because they play fast. They have a lot of athletic guards, guys that can shoot the 3-ball. They play defense. They're long. They're active.
They're physical.
And they're physical. I mean, that's just the old Big East. It's just like the old Big East. So they have that same toughness, and they brought it to the Big Ten Conference. Iowa may have a chance if they feed the ball into Gonzaga all night and shut down everybody else. But if I'm Rutgers, I let everybody. So if I'm Rutgers, I'm shutting down everybody else and I'm letting Garza get his 30 because you can't stop him. But when you start to throw the ball in there, you start to trap and double, and he throws it out to his shooters like Wieskamp, those guys get that confidence. It's tough to beat Iowa. So what I'm going to be looking for when I'm watching the game is, are they going to double team Garza and force him to get the ball out of their hands, or are they going to let him get his 30 and shut down everybody else and try to run them out the gym?
Well, Joe Wieskamp, Jordan Bohannon, they can dial it up. And that's the difference in this game for me is Rutgers' ability to contain Iowa on the perimeter. And then on the flip side, Ron Harper's ability with Geo Baker, can they lead the way for the Scarlet Knights team? I think that what's been interesting here about this Rutgers team is that they've been able to find contributions from different sources. Baker goes down with an injury.
Next guy up.
And they figure out a way to play without him. Harper's stock has been only rising. He's been very, very impressive, and they've been able to find those contributions from other players. This is a team that, I'll tell you what, Rutgers is tough. They are tough. They play a New Jersey style of basketball, and if you're going to come into their building and win, you better bring your hard hat. Iowa's going to need to find some hard hats in the farmlands out there to bring out to Piscataway, because that's what it's going to take to win this game. Should be a very good game. I love this matchup. You know, I think that Kansas-Texas is probably the sexiest of the games because you do have Marcus Garrett. You do have Ochai Agbaji on one side. You have a loaded, Courtney Ramey and Matt Coleman, a really good backcourt on the other side for Texas. Great matchup to see if Texas's guards can counter Kansas and Kansas's strong wing play. That's what I'm interested to see because Wilson and Agbaji have just been so good. Let's see if Texas can be able to navigate offensively, do what they need to do. Can they get a fast tempo? I think for Texas to win, it's required that they're getting out, that they're getting a tempo. If it's made more of a physical basketball game, advantage Kansas at home. We'll see what happens. That's a fascinating game.
Yeah, well, this game, like you said, this game is very, very unique because these are two top 10 teams, and their stock, depending on who wins, who doesn't win, how much you win by, can determine what place you are, what seed you are in the next couple of months. But Texas is number 8 in the country. Kansas is number 5. It's going to be a big test for both teams. And if Texas does win, that 3-guard front is tough. They lock down on defense and they can get to the cup. They have 3 guys. So most teams, and kind of like Houston, so most teams have 2 guys that can get to the rack and finish. But these teams like Texas and Houston, they have 3 guys that can get to the basket and make a play and get to the free throw line. And you add that 3-headed monster with Brooke Cunningham, Kai Jones, and Greg Brown. These guys are leapers. They can pick and pop. They can shoot 3. They are going to make Kansas work. They're going to force Kansas to play one-on-one basketball. And Kansas is a team-oriented team. They make the right play. They get in the middle. The help helps. They pass the ball to the open man. I think Texas is going to force Kansas to play one-on-one basketball and make them try to finish over the top of them instead of helping from the weak side, forcing wide open shots in the quarter and threes. Because like you mentioned, Kansas is a 40% three-point shooting team. You don't want to have them get confidence from the three-point line because you add that with the physicality, it's going to be tough to beat them. But if they can slow them down, get to the free throw line, I think Texas has a shot.
All right, 2021 is about to arrive. What's your New Year's resolution for a team?
My New Year's resolution. So you see I have my alma mater on, Syracuse.
Right.
So my resolution is, 1, they had to cancel a couple of games because of the opposing team got COVID, so they had to cancel some games. But I'm hoping that they get back on the court in the Dome because in Syracuse, Cuse Nation, We need basketball in upstate New York. We want basketball in upstate New York. So I'm looking forward to seeing Syracuse compete in the ACC, seeing what they can do, how many games they can win in the ACC. They have a forward in Quincy Guerrier that averages a double-double, 18 and 10. Him and Buddy Boeheim are right now the two main guys. They have a really good guard out of Brooklyn, freshman Kaderi Richmond, who could come off the bench and start. And they have a transfer guy from Illinois, Alan Griffin, that can get hot at any moment of the night. So that's my New Year's resolution, is to get Syracuse playing and competing in conference play in the ACC. Let's go, Cuse.
There it is. There it is. I mean, look, I love Griffin. I think that Buddy Boeheim is more than legit. Look, Cuse can be on the dance floor come March. They got some things to prove.
Yeah, sure. Rebounding. Let's be serious. They have to rebound. You have Rama Sidibe out for another couple of weeks. I think when Syracuse plays, I think he'll be back. But now, how much shape is he in? Is he going to be that 10 and 10 type of guy that Syracuse is needing and wanting from him? Can he average 10 and 10? If he can average 10 and 10, that would be great. But they have a bunch of young guys. You know, Syracuse usually plays 5, 6 guys. Now they can play 8, 9 sometimes. So I think, you know, so I'm curious to see what they're going to do and how they're going to compete in the ACC. I'm not saying they're going to be great, but I want to see what steps they're going to make going into the new year and how they could compete on the offensive side. But, I mean, they shoot threes, they run the floor.
3 resolutions for me. 1, Scott Drew, Mark Few, find a way to play Baylor and Gonzaga. Let's find out if Baylor's up to par with the Zags, who've been unstoppable. Number 2, get Rocket going. Michigan State, get Rocket Watts in the right place. Get him going. You need him and Aaron Henry. You need them to lead the way. Tom Izzo has some work to do, some things to resolve. I think he can do it. Number 3, UConn. Are they back? Well, we think they might be, but they've only played 1 Big East game. Before that, they'd only played 3 times, and they beat USC, but we don't know how good the Huskies are. We think they could be pretty good. So my resolution for UConn is just get back into playing games. They're going to play, I think, 9 or 10 Big East games between December the 30th and the end of January. They're going to be playing a lot of games. They're going to be getting a lot of games in. And for UConn, the resolution is this: find somebody in addition to James Bouknight who could score the basketball. If they do, the Huskies could be a second weekend team in the NCAA tournament, because Bouknight's the best guard UConn's had since Kemba Walker.
Ooh, he's that nice? He's that good?
Watch this kid play. Watch this kid play.
I'm going to watch him play. But I like UConn, even though they're our rivals.
I was going to say, you do?
I do, because Ray Allen was my favorite player. Richard Hamilton wasn't my favorite player. I love Ben Gordon. He was my teammate.
Hughes fans are cringing right now that you're wearing that and saying this.
You know what? As long as I have my sweater on, I rep Syracuse all day, every day. But you got to give respect when respect's due. But I love UConn being in the Big East. I'm just waiting for a couple of years from now when the old Big East is back the way it should be. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, what's the best Christmas gift you got?
I got a record player, so I like music. Yes. So my wife found me a vintage record player. I set it up. My mom and my brother came down. My brother helped me set it up in my man cave down here. So my first record was the Temptations' Greatest Hits. So we've been listening to that all weekend.
That's big time.
Yeah, man. So I was very, very happy. It was a surprise because I didn't even think. I mean, I've mentioned
My Girl, right? My Girl.
Yeah, all that, man. So that was a great present. How about you, man? What did you get for Christmas?
I've got it here. Hold on. I've got it. I'm bringing it out. This will be clipped on social.
All right. Let me see.
So it goes along with my New Year's resolution. You know how everybody says I'm going to go out on a jog or exercise more? I'm just going to cut the grease from my food. It's an air fryer, baby.
There you go.
I got an air fryer. I'm set for 2021. I'm going to watch college basketball from home and air fry a bunch of crap.
And it cuts the time in like half. So if your food is usually cooked 40 minutes, you can cut it out half in 20 and be ready to eat right before halftime or something like that. So that's a nice present right there.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I did some shrimp in this thing.
Oh, nice.
So I went to preheat it.
Yeah.
You know how you preheat the oven, you could go to the bathroom, talk on the phone, do a couple things while it's preheating. Yeah. This thing was beeping within 2 minutes.
Automatic, huh? Nice.
This is better than any gift I could have gotten.
So what's your favorite meal that you're going to cook in that besides shrimp?
I don't know. I need some of your suggestions. I think the chicken wings will be good in it.
Chicken will be solid. You like fish or some steak?
Sure.
I don't know.
I don't know if you do a steak in here.
I mean, so we have one, and my wife loves steak, and she put the steak in there. I disagree with it, but she liked it. She enjoyed it, but, you know, we'll see. But the shrimp, I like the shrimp idea, though.
I'm putting it back. I did the shrimp. It was very, very good. New Year's Eve plans, my friend, before we go.
Plans. So I'm going to take my wife out to dinner. Usually we go
like
where and we have a good time bringing in the new year, but we're going to just have a nice candlelit dinner. It's her birthday on the 1st. So making sure that she's happy on that day and just basically bringing in the new year with the kids. How about you?
I've got a date.
Oh, yes. God answers prayers. There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Were people praying? Were people?
No. But I'm just saying, you have a date going into the new year, so I'm just guessing, all right, well, maybe your dream came true. I don't know. Tell me.
Yes, my dream is coming true.
No?
That's
all right.
That's all I'll say. We have a New Year's Eve date. No college basketball New Year's Eve night. I have some other things that we have to tend to.
Well, I won't ask you her name until the date turns into a relationship, hopefully, if that's what you want. We'll see. You never know. We'll see.
It'll be fun. I'm gonna have some prosecco.
Nice.
Nice appetizer.
Where are you going? All right.
I don't know yet. I don't know. That kept to come.
You have to make reservations. It's 48 hours away. What are you doing? You got to make reservations.
I've got some things up my sleeve. I don't want to unveil on the podcast.
Okay, true, because she might be watching. So
exactly. I mean, I'm assuming your wife would be watching.
Yeah. But she knows that. Well, she knows that we're going out to dinner, but she doesn't know what we're doing going into the new year. But she does know that we're going out. So I have a little idea before.
Wow.
So we'll see how.
All right, we'll recap that next week.
Yes, sir.
We'll recap that next week. That's a nice tease.
Yeah,
that is a very nice tease. Have one thing to get into here. Our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. While the holiday season may be winding down, the sports calendar is in full swing this week. From collegiate to professional sports, there is no shortage of action, and there is no better place to get in on all of this action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. If you haven't tried out DraftKings Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? To celebrate this year's college football playoffs, DraftKings is giving all new users the chance to bet on any semifinal team to win the championship at 100-1 odds. That's right. All you have to do is bet $1 on any semifinal team to win the championship. And if your team wins, you cash $100.
I like that.
While we are all excited for football, let's not forget the 2021 basketball season just kicked off. So head to the app now to check out all of DraftKings' daily odds boosts. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. I just did it myself, and use promo code FIELD68. That's promo code FIELD68 when you sign up to get 100-1 odds on any semifinal team to win it all. Again, that's code FIELD, all caps, FIELD 68, for new players to get a shot at one-time $100 and any semifinal this week for a limited time. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And we must remind you, if you do have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Field 68, you get to put $1. You could win $100 on one of these semifinal teams. We'll see. We'll see who comes out in the college football playoff. I think we're going to see another Alabama-Clemson title game. But perhaps we'll get something a little different. But get on DraftKings Sportsbook and place your wager.
Sounds good. I'm on it, man. Like, so even though I'm not a gambling man, I'm on it. Especially for $100. I'll take it.
Gotta love it. That's a great opportunity to win some cash for sure. Heading into the new year, start up in the green. By the way, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Field of 68. You can follow us on Twitter at The Field of 68 as well. He is Nichols _Demetris. I am at John_Fanta on Twitter. We'll be back with you next week. Keep it locked to The Field of 68. We talked about Richard Pitino. Great story from inside the mind of Tim Miles. That podcast, check it out with Richard Pitino on getting the Minnesota job. Jeff Goodman and Robbie Hummel, they were live after the Minnesota-Michigan State game. Rob Douster doing his thing, and we've got a cast of thousands with you throughout college basketball season. Thanks to our producer making his debut, Pranav, and for Demetris, and a splash of Fanta. Happy New Year.
New Year everywhere.